Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today, we're looking out there into space, but maybe with a slightly different feeling than usual. Not just wonder, but a question that seems to be popping up more and more in science circles.
hmm
What if that first contact, the first time we meet alien life, what if it isn't exactly friendly?
It's definitely a conversation that's shifted, hasn't it? We've
Yeah.
sort of moved past just asking if there's life out there.
Right.
Now it's more about, well, what happens when we find it? Or if it finds us.
Exactly. So this deep dive, we're calling it Alien Invasions, predicting the next contact. And we really want to move past the Hollywood stuff, the big ships, the lasers,
You leave that aside for a bit.
and explore what science might actually suggest about, well, the possibilities and maybe the dangers. And I guess the really unsettling question, could they already know we're here?
It's a huge topic. We'll touch on how scientists are thinking about alien life now, which has really
Yeah.
changed. We'll look at things like the Drake equation, the Fermi paradox.
Yes, where is everybody?
Exactly that. And then planetary defense. What are we actually doing? Potential invasion ideas, the more realistic kind, and this whole debate about whether we should even be sending messages out there.
Okay, let's start with that shift you mentioned. How science views aliens. It wasn't always taken this seriously, was it? Used to be pure sci-fi.
Oh, absolutely. For decades, it was fringe, really, speculation. But things have changed. You had Dr. James Green, NASA's former top scientist, saying back in 2021 that we're probably right on the verge of finding alien life.
On the verge.
Oh.
Maybe even here in our solar system.
That's what he suggested, yeah. Which is, a huge statement compared to how things were viewed before. Much more cautious then.
And it's not just talk, right? Discoveries are backing this up.
Definitely. The sheer number of exoplanets we're finding. By 2024, NASA's exoplanet archive was listing over 5,000 potential Earth-like ones.
Wow.
Yeah, planets with signs of water in that Goldilocks zone where life might be possible. The numbers are just staggering.
Incredible. So many potential places for life.
It really pushes the odds up, statistically speaking. And then you have weird stuff like Oumuamua.
Ah, the interstellar visitor.
Right. And Avi Loeb's idea from 2021 that, hey, maybe this wasn't just a rock. Maybe it was some kind of alien probe. It got some pushback, sure, but it's being discussed more seriously now in astrophysics. It was just odd. Didn't behave like a typical comet or asteroid.
So, okay, the big picture is science is moving on from if aliens exist to maybe when we find them. And crucially for us today, the big what if. What if they're not friendly?
Precisely. Once you accept the possibility of life is higher, you have to consider all the potential outcomes. And that includes, well, the less pleasant ones, threats.
Which kind of leads us neatly into the Drake equation. Can you give us a quick rundown of what that is for anyone not familiar?
Sure, the Drake equation, it's not really a precise calculation, more like a way to organize our thinking. It tries to estimate n, the number of civilizations in our galaxy that we could potentially communicate with. So it multiplies together a bunch of factors, like how fast stars form, how many have planets, how many of those planets could support life.
The habitable ones.
Exactly. Then, on what fraction does life actually arise? And what fraction of those does intelligent life evolve? Then, does that intelligence develop technology we can detect? Technosignatures.
Like radio signals or
Could
something.
be radio, could be lasers, maybe even weirder stuff we haven't thought of. And the final factor is L. How long do these civilizations typically last and keep sending out signals?
It sounds complicated, yeah. But the basic point is, even if you plug in fairly conservative numbers for each step,
Right.
the galaxy is so vast, you could still end up with thousands, maybe even millions of civilizations out there.
That's the mind-bending part. The potential is huge.
Yeah.
Which leads directly to Enrico Fermi's question, the Fermi paradox. If the potential is so high, well, where is everybody?
Yeah, the great silence. It's baffling. So much potential, but we haven't found any clear, undisputed sign. What are the main ideas for why?
There are loads of theories. Maybe the distances are just too immense. Interstellar travel or communication might be incredibly hard even for advanced life.
Makes sense.
Or maybe they know we're here, but they're deliberately avoiding contact. The zoo hypothesis idea.
Could you explain that one a bit more? The zoo hypothesis.
Yeah, it's the idea that maybe Earth is like a nature preserve. Advanced civilizations are watching us, maybe studying us, but they have a strict non-interference policy.
Like the Prime Directive in Star Trek.
Kind of like that, yeah. Or maybe they just think we're too primitive or too unstable to interact with yet.
Huh. That's humbling. Or maybe insulting.
Could be. Another idea is timing. Maybe we're just early to the party in cosmic terms. Or perhaps technological civilizations just don't last very long. They blow themselves up or run out of resources.
Grim.
It is. And then there's the possibility they are here, but we just don't recognize them. Or they're hiding.
Hiding? That sounds like the dark forest theory.
Exactly. That comes from Lou Six in science fiction, but it's being discussed academically now, too. The basic idea is the universe is like a dark forest filled with hunters.
Yeah.
Every civilization is a potential threat. So the safest thing to do is stay absolutely silent. If you reveal your location, you might get destroyed by someone more powerful or paranoid. So don't make a sound. Don't answer if someone calls.
Wow. That paints a really stark, almost terrifying picture of the cosmos. Stay quiet or die.
It's a chilling thought, definitely.
Yeah.
And if you start thinking along those lines, well, planetary defense starts to look a bit different.
Right. It's not just about asteroids hitting us anymore.
Not entirely.
Yeah.
So back in 2026, NASA and the European Space Agency, ESA, they set up Project Sentry. Officially, its main job is tracking asteroids and comets, near-Earth objects that could be a danger.
Standard planetary defense stuff.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But then some classified reports apparently got leaked around 2032, and they suggested Sentry might be doing more.
More?
Like looking for technosignatures, those signs of alien tech we talked about. And, more disturbingly, running simulations. Computer models of, potential alien invasion scenarios.
Invasion scenarios.
Yeah.
Seriously. That sounds, straight out of a movie again.
Yeah.
What kind of scenarios are we talking about?
The leaks mentioned a few possibilities they were modeling. One was detecting alien signals hidden in, like, neutrino pulses.
Neutrinos. Aren't those incredibly hard to detect?
Extremely hard, which would make them a very stealthy way to communicate or maybe even trigger something. Another scenario involved fast objects showing up in Earth orbit, but with no obvious propulsion. No engine signatures we could recognize.
Suggesting technology way beyond ours.
Exactly. And maybe the weirdest one was simulating AI-guided nanoprobes. Tiny machines that could potentially self-replicate in our atmosphere.
Self-replicating nanobots, like tiny cosmic drones.
Sort of, yeah. The idea is they could be used for surveillance or maybe even preparing the environment for something else.
That is genuinely creepy. Self-replicating nanoprobes.
Okay, so if we put the Hollywood stuff aside and think about these kinds of subtle, advanced threats, what might a real alien invasion actually look like?
Well, astrophysicist Jason Wright and some colleagues published work suggesting it would likely be very different from explosions and fighting, much more subtle, patient, technological.
Okay, walk us through it. What would be the signs?
They proposed maybe a 5-phase scenario. Phase 1, surveillance, but really subtle stuff. Maybe satellites start failing randomly, inexplicably. Our climate models go haywire in ways we can't figure out. Or maybe strange drones get detected, but in really remote places. Deep ocean trenches near fault lines, places we don't monitor constantly.
Yeah.
Just watching, gathering data.
Okay, almost undetectable. What's phase 2?
Communication hijack. Not necessarily shutting things down, but subtly interfering. Maybe global internet speeds gradually slow down, but everywhere. Complex AI systems start making really weird, almost surreal errors nobody can explain.
Glitches in the matrix kind of thing. Sort of. And maybe a strange signal appears. Not like a loud hello, but embedded deep in our networks. Maybe even using human language, but referencing mathematics or physics way beyond us. Like a calling card from a superior intelligence woven into our own tech.
That's deeply unnerving, messing with our information systems from the inside. What would come next?
Phase 3. Infrastructure collapse. But again, subtly. Power grids start failing across the globe, but there's no EMP signature, no obvious cyber attack. They just stop. That's the scary part. Maybe technology we can't even conceive of. Imagine all military satellites just going offline simultaneously. Or, even more chilling, all the world's nuclear weapons being remotely deactivated. Silently neutralized, no trace left behind, complete paralysis of our defenses without a single visible shot fired.
Wow, okay. That's terrifyingly efficient.
What about biological stuff? Is that part of this scenario?
That's phase 4, biological subversion. Maybe new microbes suddenly appear. Not necessarily deadly at first, but affecting human minds.
Affecting our minds. Yeah, things like widespread chronic sleeplessness, maybe vivid, disturbing hallucinations becoming common, or growing emotional apathy, like people just stop caring. And the really insidious part is, you wouldn't know. Is this a weapon? Is it an accident? Is it even some kind of bizarre message?
The uncertainty would be awful. Okay, so after surveillance, communication issues, infrastructure collapse, maybe biological weirdness. What's the final step? Phase 5.
Phase 5, according to this kind of thinking, is the endpoint. Could be assimilation or maybe just termination. Imagine a holographic message appearing everywhere, on every screen, simultaneously. A calm voice saying something like, "We warned you. You broadcast your location. Now your culture will be archived."
Archive, just
Right.
archive, like a museum specimen.
Exactly. Cold, clinical, final. It's horrifying, but as Wright and others argue, it's terrifying because it feels, I don't know, mathematically plausible. It bypasses messy warfare for systemic control.
Which brings us right back to that question. Should we be broadcasting our location? SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, they mostly listen, right?
That's right. SETI primarily uses radio telescopes and other instruments to listen for signals that might be artificial. Passive searching.
But there's another group, METI.
Yes, METI messaging extraterrestrial intelligence. They do the opposite. They actively compose and transmit messages out into space, aimed at star systems where life might exist, trying to initiate contact.
That sounds bold and risky.
Very controversial. Many scientists are critical. The common analogy is, it's like shouting in a dark jungle at night. You don't know who or what might hear you.
Is it smart to advertise our existence and location when we know nothing about who's out there?
That's precisely the criticism. We're potentially revealing ourselves to civilizations that could be vastly more advanced and whose intentions are completely unknown. They could be peaceful, sure, or indifferent, or hostile.
Stephen Hawking warned about this, didn't he?
He did. Very famously, back in 2010, he worried that an encounter with an advanced civilization could go very badly for us. He even made the comparison to Native Americans encountering Columbus.
Yeah, that didn't end well for the Native Americans.
His point was that, historically, when a more technologically advanced culture meets a less advanced one, the outcome is often disastrous for the latter. It's a pretty sobering thought.
It really is. Maybe putting our address in a cosmic phone book isn't the wisest move right now.
It's a huge debate within the scientific community, with really smart people on both sides. The potential rewards of contact are immense, of course, but the potential risks, they're existential.
So as we wrap this up, it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? I mean, looking up at the sky, have we maybe already been visited, just in ways we didn't recognize? And this whole METI thing, should we be shouting out there or staying quiet, hiding?
Big questions.
And that invasion scenario, if it starts subtly, with weird glitches, strange signals, things we might just brush off, would we even notice until it's way too late?
It really forces us to consider things differently. Science is pushing the boundaries on finding life, but it also means we have to think seriously about all the possibilities, good and bad. Curiosity is vital, but maybe a little caution is needed too.
Yeah, definitely food for thought. We'd love to hear what you, our listeners, think. Share your theories in the comments. Has contact already happened? Are we being foolish broadcasting or foolish hiding? It feels like we used to look at the stars with just wonder. Maybe now it needs to be wonder mixed with vigilance.
Perhaps. A healthy respect for the unknown.
Okay, well, until our next deep dive, keep watching the skies, I guess. Question the signals, and hope it's not a countdown.